On tomorrow's programme we'll see another unusual house, which used to be a windmill. Well, I'm joined now by Andrew Broughton, who when he was 13 years old was described by Norris McWhirter of Record Breakers fame as a most persistent collector. Well, he certainly is. He's a bit older than 13 now, but he's still collecting, and today he's brought in this massive autograph collection. And this is a special autograph collection. It's not any old collection, is it? It's fantastic.
No, that's right. It's a very comprehensive collection. It's one that's very precious to me. It started from, as you say, in my early teens, and it's carried me right now into my 30s, and it's still giving me enormous pleasure.
What gave you the bug?
It was just that when I was young at school, I was doing a project on horror films, and I wrote to Peter Cushing of the BBC, and he actually responded personally.
Really? He's here for someone, isn't he?
That's right. Yes, it's the first letter I ever got in the thing that got me going in the collection. It's actually inspired me to write to all the famous people, because until this point I thought maybe only fan clubs would deal with correspondence, but because he responded, I wrote to the likes of Mike Yarwood and the two Ronnies that were famous at the time, and because they were favourable, I then wrote to the Prime Minister, that was Jim Callaghan, and he responded with a personally signed photograph, so there's sort of no stopping me after that.
So you were quite reassured then that these famous people are sort of human after all?
Oh yes, that's right. I always thought that the secretaries would probably protect them from correspondence and probably send printed autographs back, but it obviously wasn't the case, and I've just gone on from there.
So what were you proudest of? You've got some fantastic ones. You've got Norma and John over there, of course.
That's right, yeah.
Did you get that yourself?
Yes, I did, yes. I got the photograph and sent it to them. If anything famous in history happens, I do like to get a copy of a photograph and send it to the people to sign.
So you get the photograph and then send it to them?
In a lot of the cases, but more often than not I will just request the photograph and they'll send their own example. There's actually one over there, Mr. and Mrs. Thatcher at Chequers.
Is that the one, this one here? Yes.
That's right, yes.
2 years ago now.
That's right. It was actually sent to me by Dennis Thatcher. He signed it himself, and then I returned it to Mrs. Thatcher asking if she had a signature to it. But when the photograph came back, it didn't look like a conventional signature. The T was square, was straight at the top rather than a curved T. So I actually queried it and sent it back, and I got quite a curt letter back from Downing Street. But they said she'd re-sign it with a conventional signature, which she did.
Quite clever of you to spot the difference. These are all genuine, are they?
Yes.
The Queen? But that's not to you, that's dear Miss Peacock, that letter.
That's right. The royal family don't generally give autographs on private requests, so I do have to buy these at private and public auctions when they come up for sale. This particular letter from 1952 was just after her father had died, and she wrote to thank this Miss Peacock for a message of condolence on the death of the King. It is extremely rare because it's a handwritten letter, and you seldom see a full sheet of handwriting from the Queen. I actually found out later who that Miss Peacock was as well. It was a lady that worked in a shoe shop in London that supplied the royal family, and she obviously, the Queen was very impressed that she'd written to her, and that showed in the personal reply she sent back. You certainly put a lot
into these things. There's a letter here from Camilla Parker Bowles which says, "Thank you very much for your kind letter. It makes all the difference to receive letters from thoughtful people like yourself during these difficult times. It restores my faith in humanity." What did you say to her?
I just, at the time she was getting a really bad press, and I wrote to her to let her know that not everybody thinks ill of her. I mean, I have tremendous respect for Camilla Parker Bowles, and I just basically wrote and told her that.
And you got an autograph at the end of the letter?
That's right, as far as it's a two-way thing.
Quite a few, you got a couple of Diana, to Barbara. Who's Barbara?
That's right, Barbara's my mum. When Princess Diana very rarely gives autographs out, and they are extremely rare.
How much are they worth at the moment?
Well, the one in the leather frame with the D at the top, that's a presentation frame, personal gift from the Princess of Wales, and we sold one at auction a couple of weeks ago. It sold for £920, so, which is almost twice as much more than their former husband is worth. Prince Charles is such between 200 and 300.
So. Is it irritating for him?
Yes, definitely.
Have you got an absolute favourite?
I would say...
Stacks of albums there, I must have loads to choose from.
That's right, the royal family have always been the main thing for me. I mean, because they're the rarest, the ones you can't get, they're the ones I prefer the most.
One you're after particularly?
I'd need Prince Andrew and Prince Edward. I've got all the current British royal family, but I've never been able to get...
You and the kids?
Oh yes, and I've got the children to sign it as well.
Yeah. Right. Okay, well maybe somebody will find that for you.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir.
That's great. Now,